Caitlin Clark's return wasn't just about stepping back on the court, it was about reclaiming a narrative. After nearly 2 weeks on the sidelines with a strained quadriceps muscle, she returned with fire, precision, and an unspoken challenge to the rest of the league. The Fever had missed her presence, the fans had felt her absence, and the league. It was ready for another dose of what many are calling the most electric player in modern women's basketball. Her return was perfectly timed. The Liberty were undefeated, sitting at 9-0, crowned the most dominant force in the league. The media had already penciled them into the finals, but then Clark happened, and everything changed. The final score, 102-88, wasn't just an upset, it was a dismantling, a reintroduction, a warning shot fired from deep behind the arc. It wasn't just basketball, it was storytelling in motion. Everyone watching knew they'd remember this night. She didn't just play, she changed the game. This game will be replayed in highlight reels for years. It was one of those moments that define a legacy. Since her injury, national TV ratings plunged over 55%, reminding everyone how vital she is. A phenomenon far bigger than one match.
We've got a heck of a game out there in Indianapolis. The Fever by 3. Caitlin Clark making her return after missing the last 5 games with that quad injury. 25 points.
Ooh, girl.
Clark's stat line was outrageous. 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists. But those numbers are just the bones. The soul of her performance was the rhythm she imposed on the game. She orchestrated Indiana's offense like a symphony, calmly, decisively, and with the flair of someone who knew the spotlight was hers. In just 31 minutes, she triggered a franchise record 17 three-pointers by the Fever. She wasn't just scoring, she was creating gravity. The moment that stunned everyone, a 3-triple stretch in under 40 seconds. Clark turned the court into her personal stage. The Liberty's defense didn't just struggle, it unraveled. This game will be replayed in highlight reels for years. That kind of performance echoes through history. You could feel the shift in momentum with every possession. Moments like these are what build legends. Every second on the floor told a bigger story. Her return didn't just snap her stats, it snapped the Fever from mid-table inconsistency back into contention. Coach White had warned about defensive gaps. Clark's presence shattered those fears. This wasn't just any team she dismantled, it was the New York Liberty, stacked with MVPs and All-Stars. So how did those stars react? Sabrina Ionescu admitted they gave Clark too many good looks. Breanna Stewart smiled mid-game after Clark dropped a logo 3 in her face. That wasn't mockery, it was acknowledgement. When the best players in the league choose not to deflect, not to make excuses, but instead publicly recognize what just hit them, that says everything. These are women who dominated at every level, and even they had to pause and appreciate what Clark just did. She didn't just play, she changed the game. You could feel the shift in momentum with every possession. That kind of performance echoes through history. Everyone watching knew they'd remember this night. It was one of those moments that define a legacy. Even behind the applause, Clark faces pressure. There's talk of rival shooters like Alicia Gray pushing her place in history, and she responded by stepping on court and speaking 4 powerful words. "I'm here, watch this." Caitlin Clark doesn't just affect the game, she alters the entire structure of it. She stretches the floor beyond its intended dimensions. Defenders aren't sure whether to step out or drop back. Every rotation feels late, every switch feels dangerous, and every mistake becomes fatal. The Liberty's defensive game plan disintegrated under Clark's influence. At times, it wasn't just about her scoring, it was about the fear of what she might do next. That unpredictability breaks systems, and when systems break, chaos follows, and that's where Clark thrives. It was one of those moments that define a legacy. It wasn't just basketball, it was storytelling in motion. This game will be replayed in highlight reels for years. That kind of performance echoes through history. Moments like these are what build legends. She's already being compared to Stephen Curry for how she wars with geometry, and with every step she takes, defenders find themselves lost. You want to talk about impact? Let's go beyond the paint. Since Clark's debut, WNBA TV ratings have soared. Jersey sales, off the charts. Sold out arenas in cities where women's basketball used to draw half-empty bleachers. Networks are shuffling schedules just to air her games. Celebrities are showing up courtside. Kids are practicing logo 3s in driveways wearing number 22. That's not hype, that's movement, that's marketing, that's legacy building. Clark is making money for the league, for her team, and for the sport. sport. And the best part, she's doing it with a smile, a no-look pass, and a jumper that hits like thunder. She didn't just play, she changed the game. It was one of those moments that define a legacy. Everyone watching knew they'd remember this night. That kind of performance echoes through history. Moments like these are what build legends. Clark's injury absence caused viewership to drop 55%. With her return, WNBA regained its buzz, proof that one player can move the needle. Before Caitlin, the Indiana Fever were forgotten, floating through seasons, drafting pieces, lacking spark. Then came Clark, and suddenly, everything clicked. Her return from injury didn't just revive her stat line, it reignited her team's fire. The way her teammates cut harder, talked more, defended with urgency. It all starts with belief, and she brings it in spades. Clark doesn't bark orders. She encourages, she directs, she inspires. And in a league where locker room dynamics often make or break a season, her leadership may be her most dangerous weapon of all. That kind of performance echoes through history. You could feel the shift in momentum with every possession. It wasn't just basketball, it was storytelling in motion. This game will be replayed in highlight reels for years. She didn't just play, she changed the game. Coach White said the team must improve defense and rebounding before title talks, but Clark's return already shows promise. Her presence brings cohesion to a previously erratic squad. This game was more than just a win, it was a statement, and not just from the scoreboard. It was a message to the WNBA that the crown is no longer safe. The Liberty, once thought to be untouchable, were left scrambling. Their defense was exposed, their stars were humanized, and Clark, she didn't flinch. For a rookie to shift momentum like this against a title favorite, that doesn't happen, or at least it didn't, until now. The league's balance of power just shifted, and it wasn't quiet, it was loud, it was clear, it was historic. She didn't just play, she changed the game. This game will be replayed in highlight reels for years. That kind of performance echoes through history. Everyone watching knew they'd remember this night. It was one of those moments that define a legacy. Even legend Candace Parker notes that double teams on Clark now reflect her rising stardom. It's not hostility, it's recognition of power. Anyone can drop numbers, few can drop jaws. Caitlin does both, but her legacy won't be written in box scores alone. It'll be written in energy, the way she leads huddles, the way she handles double teams, the way she looks her coach in the eye after a turnover and says, "My bad," then drills a 30-footer the next play. That's culture, that's chemistry, that's leadership, and it's why people like LeBron James tweet CC effect with zero hesitation, because real recognizes real, and greatness doesn't whisper, it echoes. She didn't just play, she changed the game. Everyone watching knew they'd remember this night. That kind of performance echoes through history. Moments like these are what build legends. This game will be replayed in highlight reels for years. But it's not all sparkle. Clark and the organization have also faced darker challenges. Threats and stalking incidents requiring increased security, reminding us of the heavy burden carried by iconic athletes today. So here we are. Caitlin Clark is back, and she didn't just win a game, she rewrote the script. She torched the league's top team, earned respect from the greats, reignited a franchise, and reminded everyone why she's the most talked about athlete in women's sports today. This wasn't a breakout, this was a takeover. And the question now isn't how good is she, it's who's gonna stop her? Drop your take in the comments. Was this the greatest single game performance of her career, or just a preview of what's to come? Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and stay locked in, because if the CC effect is real, we're only getting started. That kind of performance echoes through history. This game will be replayed in highlight reels for years. She didn't just play, she changed the game. It wasn't just basketball, it was storytelling in motion. Moments like these are what build legends. And remember, behind all that success and hype, Clark has dealt with serious threats off court, underscoring how the price of stardom is not just fame, but sometimes fear.